What are the key points that making sure you are successfully going through your career change process? So last week, we talked about when you're about to start preparing for your career change, what are the things you need to pay attention to? And this week, we're talking about the 3 key points of a successful career change, switching into a different industry, switching into a different job. I will actually use a case study to help me better explain what is happening. So now before we start, as we all know, as I mentioned before, career change is a process. It's going to take about 3 to 6 months, depends on how senior you are, what industry you're in, what area you're in. So if you're not sure, go and check out my previous video on, 3 tips to start a successful career change. And so now today we're going to talk about when you're actually doing it, when you're already searching for the next job, searching for that next different job or in a different industry. What do you need to pay attention to? Of course, this is there are several steps, to be honest. The first one is making sure the next career path, the next career position is definitely what you want to do. And that itself is a lot of work. Again, I've made a video on this. It's, the dream job market research role, not that one. I'm just checking my video, 6 proven steps to find your career clarity. So before we do that, or before I'm sharing all these tips, it's only applicable to people who already have that clarity in your heart. What are the 1 or maybe possible 3 or 5, no more than 5, more than 5 is too much, career path that's right for you, going through the stages that I mentioned, and you have that certainty and the trust that this is the right career for you. And then here comes the 3 key steps that I find is very interesting, and that's definitely going to help you accelerate this process and help you to be more successful in the process as well. All right, let's get started. So today I am explaining this process of the 3 key steps using a real case example, which is a client that I'm currently working with. The reason I use her example is because her change, it's really a drastic change. So there's several aspects to look at it. Now she's in her 40, almost 50, and she's from French. So she's been working in the legal industry for the past over 20 years. So she was acting as a legal counsel. She was a legal expert, lawyer, barista for the past 20 years. So for her, first is the geographical relocation. She's moving with her family from France all the way to Sydney. So that's a big change already geographically. The culture here is different. The climate is different. The job market, of course, is different. And secondly, it's a big change for her again because of the language she's using. Previously, obviously, she was working using French, elegant language. And now everything is in English. Again, that's a big change. But you may say that, of course, there are a lot of similarities. It's easier for people who speak, from Europe to pick up English versus people who are from Asia. Yes and no. Depends on how much you use it, how much you're blending in, and how you can really articulate yourself. So that's the second big change. And thirdly, which is the most important, relevant to today's topic, is she's going through a really big change of her industry and career path. So she's shifting from legal to now what we have pinpointed for her. It's corporate social responsibility managers. Very specific, which is great, which is what we want. Because when you find that clarity, it should be down to what's your entry point role or your current role and what's the future role. So making sure that's what you really want to do. So she has already done all the explorations. We have done the consultation to pinpoint this is exactly what she want to do for the next maybe 20 years or so. She's very determined. And here we start. So what's the first thing that you need to do? So I will start sharing my screen so you can have a better understanding. So this is part of the exercise that we were doing at an early stage, is what does your new job do? And obviously you're going to look at all this, industry report, all the job advertisement, and then from your interview with people who work in that industry to get a better idea. So we've got a whole list of things that she found out that's needed for this job. Obviously, the general things, develop and implement corporate social responsibilities, managing a team, project management, training people, all those things, which she has done before. So you can tick all the boxes. And then it comes to what I say, a gap, which is my point number 1. It's identifying the gap between your current experience or your current job skills to the next one. So these are the things that she probably don't have or she don't know. These could be skills, knowledge, experiences. That's including, knowledge about sustainability, knowledge about what does corporate social responsibility mean in a daily job. What are the social impacts? What is the partnership that could be involved? Environmental and human rights. All those things are the things that if she write out her resume, it could be a gap or it could be something that's not the strongest. And that's the first thing you need to identify. Now, these apply to whether you are changing industry, whether you're changing company, or if you're just looking for a promotion in the next job, if you're moving a job to the next level of your current job. For example, you were a junior analyst and then you move on to a senior analyst. Again, that could be a gap. And it was so important for you to identify what these gaps are and then take action about it. So for her, it was pretty straightforward. All of the legal applications or how to implement legal processes, it's quite straightforward. It can be transferable from her previous skill. However, it's only the knowledge or the industry knowledge, industry insight, specifically in Australia. That's what she needs to do. So she's doing 2 short courses to fill up the gap, to lift up her knowledge in that perspective. So that's my point number 1. Research and identify the gap between you and your next ideal job. Now it comes to my point number 2. It's knowing what you can do. It's all about what have you done previously can be implemented into this new job. How do I mean by that? I mean, it's really not about what you have done or how glamorous, how much achievement you have done previously, but how applicable are they to your new job? How can you show your employer that you are using the skills to translating into language they understand, translating into tasks they are looking for, to make sure that you can do them and you can do them well. And that again, I'll give you an example from this exercise that we have done. Let me just share the screen again. All right, so what she has done, 20 years of legal experience. That's a lot of real experience. That's expert level. And what has she done on a corporate level? That's, developing and implementing corporate strategies, including commercial contracts, merger and acquisitions, compliance, governance, litigation, corporate responsibilities. Now, these are really high caliber things, especially merger and acquisition. Those of you who really like investment banking, management consultant might be drawn to this. This is really, it's going to be eye-catching on a resume. However, is it really important for a corporate social responsibility job? Not necessarily. So the really applicable ones or the keywords or the important skills that employer want to see are the ones I highlighted: governance, litigation, corporate responsibilities. And this is what I mean by you need to make sure what you write out from your previous experience is relevant and it's really tapping onto the keywords of the new job, and it's really transferable into your new job, as in it makes sense to them that if you have done this before, that means you know how to, governance. That means you know how to manage corporate social responsibility. That means you know how to implement corporate social responsibility on a strategic level, in an operational way, looking after key stakeholders, stuff like that. So that's what I mean. The second point, it's really looking at everything you have done, pick and choose the one that's most relevant and it's applicable to your new job. And again, they should be paraphrasing or should be really repeating the keywords, the key skills, the key processes of the new job, but not everything you have done and not the relevant ones. I hope that makes sense to you. That's point number one. And then what you're going to do next is actually the second tab. So, okay, the second step. So the first step is you did look at what you have done before versus what the new job needs, and you have matched them. So now you have a whole list of things that you have done that shows that you are capable to do this new job. The next step is really looking at why are you going to be good at it, or how are you going to be good at this new job? Why? Because now you have shifted your resume or experiences, or rephrased it, repackaged it to be suitable for this new role. But again, you are going to compete with people who have already been working in this field, who has already had experience doing exactly this job is asking. So on top of that, you need to prove that you are good at doing this. So again, that would require you to look at all of the things that makes you qualified, but then look at why are you good at doing it. So one example I always give, for example, is looking at accountants, look at company reports. So you can say you review or, review and proofread or correct all the mistakes, possible mistakes for a bank statement, for a financial report. That's a plain statement. But how do I know you're doing that better? So let's say that average people can do 3 on a daily basis, while you can do 3 maybe just in 3 hours, or you can do 5 in 1 day. That's showing that you are more efficient, you're using less time. Or you can say you haven't made mistakes, even it's at the same efficiency as other people, but you have 0%, you have zero error rate or mistakes. 0 could be quite extreme, but you can say high accuracy. So that's the second step, looking at everything you can do and how are you going to showcase you can do it well. So again, one of the example from her, it's not only she was leading a team of more than 15 to 20 people, but also she was ensuring the smooth calibration of 5 different departments, 5 different teams, internally and externally. So that adding a little phrases of the end result-driven statement, it's what's going to help the employer to understand how good you are at doing certain things. But again, you need to first clarify what makes you good and how do you show that you're doing it good. And then the next thing, which I always encourage my clients to think about, it's why should your listener care? What is it in it for them? Why would they want to hire you? Because when they're sitting there looking at your resume, having interview with you, in their mind, they'll be just like, why should I hire you? Right? It's what can you bring to the table? What can you bring to the team? What can you bring to the company? What can you contribute? Well, sometimes if it's things like you cut down the budget, or you save costs by 20-30%, or you generated more value, you created a new process, made it easy for the whole team, made it easy for the whole department, those are all really valuable things. Really think about what can you bring to this relationship? What can you bring to this new job, to this new company? And what makes you unique? That's my point number 2, which is really delve deeper into what you have done previously, going to help you to be a good candidate, strong candidate in this new job. And thirdly, but not least, one of the most important things is conducting informal interviews. So now, one of the biggest hurdle you are going to encounter if you are going to change industry, change career, change geographical relocation, like my client did, is you are showing most relevant industry experiences than the other candidates. And how do you penetrate that? One of the ways is definitely networking. So again, I've made a relevant video on this, which is the number 1 strategy career seekers are missing, network your way into your dream job. Have a look of that. Even just LinkedIn, you can easily improve your success rate by 60 to even up to 80% by using your network, actively building a network. Now, in this case, when you're doing a career transition, a career change, we're talking about a thing called informal interview. Now, if you haven't heard of that term before, it's basically interviewing people who have already worked or still working in your dream job role, in the new industry, in the new company, by really trying to understand what's happening behind the curtain, behind the door. Things that's not written on, industry report, it's not written in the job sites, it's not written for informational interview. It's one of the most important and useful way to build up your network and penetrate that hurdle that I mentioned of you changing industry to create opportunities. So again, this case study, this lady that I'm talking about, she's very brave. She's been doing continuous, coffee chat, informal interview for the past 2-3 months, and she has created volunteering opportunities to gain that relevant experience, as well as new interview opportunities in corporate social responsibility, which will be so hard if you're just gonna use a legal resume, apply for corporate social responsibility manager roles in her situation in the current job market. So I cannot emphasize enough how important that is. And that again, it's a process. You need to do it strategically. You need to do it with a plan, stick to the plan, and really to be able to benefit from that. All right, so that's pretty much the 3 key points that people can be missing. I mean, there are still different steps involved in that process. As you can see, that exercise, it was only part of the exercise that we've done. It's quite lengthy, there are a lot of information there, but that's some of the most important things that people can miss or overlooked, which is why I'm suggesting them. All right, if you do have similar concerns or you want to know more about how you can benefit from this, reach out to us. Otherwise, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.